Luai hails from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. He came to the United States to study information technology.
Almost summertime, party over here. Hey! Almost summertime, party over there. Hey! Almost summertime, party over here. Hey! Almost summertime, almost summertime. Where you at, girl? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at, girl? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at, girl? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Here's that girl, show me where you at, girl. Where you at, girl? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at, girl? Where you at? 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 Hey, that girl, show me where you at. Show me where you at.
My name is Patrick Luai. I'm a writer. I'm a Congolese American. So I want to talk about here being an African, meaning that born in Africa, naturalized American, born particularly in Congo, and naturalized American. That's what makes of me a Congolese American. And I would say this. I think it's by stereotypes. We have heard that Africans don't get along with black Americans and there's a wall between us. But all apples are not bad apples. I personally have run into black Americans, and we really never had a problem of stereotyping each other or pushing back each other. No. My experience has been great because I'm an educator. I'm a highly educated and elite black man. To me, everywhere I go, I've got to be a role model. I have to represent, Congo in the best possible way, as well as the African continent. But most importantly, I'm a human being. I'm a black man. To me, this is how I look at life. In the eyes of God, every man was born equal with the purpose to pursue happiness. When I came to the U.S., the first opportunity I ever had made my name out there as a black entrepreneur originated from Congo, from Africa, but yet gave back to the American society, gave back to the American community. And you can see the product with this young lady, Rachel Nemec.
He actually came up to my school, and I think one day my choir teacher was just like, "Hey, Rachel," and he called me in his office, and he was like, "Hey, some record producer came in here and was wanting to know if I had any talent. I recommended your name."
The ship is off to a heady start. Which just released Rachel's first CD project.
The first CD is called "The Best Never Rest," and that would be featuring my hit single with Lil Twist. That on it is my introduction, which is R-A-C, and then y'all ain't ready, y'all ain't really ready for me.
I went to schools and then recruited and then brought this young lady. We cut out a single that featured Lil Twist, who later on got actually contracted or signed by Lil Wayne, Young Money. So as an African born, I was proud of it. You don't have to be shy. But the better you do, the more people respect you. And I think me coming out of Congo and being able at the time as a young African entrepreneur, as a music mogul, a record producer, to reach out to the American community, to bring a young white girl and a young African American together and drop this single that made noise in the Dallas area, and Irving Television and some other press reached out. I was proud of being an African. I was called to develop products.
I can be your number one. Count on me and I'll get it done. No matter near or far, shoot on me and I'll be a star. I'll be your best friend. Yeah, you can bet that. Lean on me, I'll be the one you can call. If you believe in we, maybe you can be Miss David, how you doing? I see you like to listen to this music I'm pursuing. Yeah, you just my type, beauty and brains also foolish. Got me going crazy, now my head's in need of screwing. Cause I seen you over there, whipping back your hair, putting on the show, don't swear to God, but this affair. Your lover own it like a mare, got it like a bear. If someone comes and asks me, my heart goes off like a flare. Bang, bang, shots fired off like a Cupid. If you bet on luck, there's only one way to do it. Put it all on me, D-A-V-I-D. Baby, you can be E.T., you can bet on me.
I do believe knowledge is power. And I do believe that by sharing knowledge, this is how you grow into quality as opposed to growing into quantity. The black community is growing more into quantity as opposed to quality. But you look at other communities, such as the Indian community or Asian community, these communities are growing into quality. I just visited a lot of African communities here in America, and I have noticed that we don't grow into quality. You know, don't sell yourself for less. I really set the bar higher. Even to my children, I tell them the same thing. You know, I wasn't born here. I came in, I was pretty much, 25, 26. If I can speak English this way, coming out of a French-speaking country, if I'm an entrepreneur now, work as a cybersecurity engineer, senior engineer, a writer, a music producer, you name it, you guys born here can do more. So young Africans, as you come in America, you have to think that where you came from, there's poverty. Where you came from, the political regimes or dictatorship. The African continent is struggling into dictatorship. And it's unfortunate because we are in the 21st century. Most of these African nations have became independent 60 years ago or 50 years or more. Within 5 years or 10 years, I can take any country in Africa and develop it based on the natural resources, based on the environment, based on conditions, based on human resources. So, investors, African leaders, multinational corporations have to change their politics, have to change the way they do business. Because Africans are not slaves. African people are not just objects or things. African people are human beings. If an American has an American dream, a Congolese citizen should have a Congolese dream. A Nigerian should have a Nigerian dream. A South African, a Gabonese, a Cameroonian. Out of 54 countries in the African continent, none of them are developed. And this is nonsense. This is insane. When you look at a country such as the Congo, it's the #1 country in Africa, global mineral power, 70% reserves of cobalt. Coltan, which is the mineral used to, make electronic devices, mobile phones, smartphones, and all of that. But this country should have been a developed nation. You see what I'm saying? There's no electricity in homes. But Africa has all of these falls through their rivers. It's unfortunate that African leaders take their resources and take all of these billions of dollars and just leave it in the West. So Western nations should actually make these African dictators understand that as a president, as a leader of any nation, you are just a servant. You don't become a president for your family, for your friends, or for yourself. You become a president for your country, for your people. I've been watching lately with some of my African American friends. We've been looking on what's going on in the Congo. There's an elite Congolese called Martin Fayulu. If this gentleman graduated out of San Francisco University and then France University, then worked for 20 years in the petroleum industry at the high level of administration as an executive person within corporate America, internationally, I think this is a perfect suit. This is a perfect match because when you understand leadership, when you understand government, when you understand infrastructure, when you understand business, when you understand human resources, equality, a state of law, law and an order, this is what Africa is struggling with. And the other thing is that young Africans who graduate from American universities, to me, they need to go back home and take the experience there. But I don't blame them because the majority, from what I have heard and I have seen, when they travel back to African continent, they don't make what they could have made here. The value on the market is not equivalent to what it is in America. Africa, look at them as sell out. You know, they don't use the experience, their education, their degrees to just help local Africans. And that's just bad. Having said that, I think that Africa has just to define its own destiny. And Congo or Congolese, Congolese American or Congolese in the Congo have to define the destiny. So it's about time for democracy to really make sense to Africans. Respect of the Constitution. You know, you cannot change the rules of a game in the middle of the game. And this is what majority for African dictators have been doing. You know, you came in, the Constitution is written for a president to run 2 terms. But then towards the end of your 2nd term, you just amend the Constitution that I want to run for the 3rd and the 4th one. That's just evil. And it's bad that these leaders yet are good friends of you know, European community or the United States, and then you name it. America, to me, has to adjust as well as redesign or recalibrate different type of international you know, policies or politics towards these African leaders.
The rules of Joseph Kabila, so-called the president, who was nothing other than a puppet of Uganda and then Rwanda. Day and then night, and then Mr. Kabila, the puppet, is sitting there canceling elections, pushing elections back. China is leading the world right now with electric battery. In the other words, China is gonna dictate the world. China is going to become the #1 electric cars and the battery makers. It would put out of business the United States of America automobile industry. China is controlling the African resources, particularly the Democratic Republic of Congo. China is the #1 buyer of cobalt, uranium, coltan that makes the electric that you have right now, all of the cell phones, laptops, all of that stuff. China is dominating and is controlling all of that. Congo has the answer to global warming. The river Congo is the deepest river in the world, 2nd largest and longest river after Amazon, with rapids and then falls that can generate electricity to feed the entire African continent and half of the European continent. Congo is that place that has clean water through its lakes. Congo is that place that have a forest that the world need. Congo is that place that have every piece or every beast or everything that you possibly can name. As you understand, the sea level is rising up. A lot of islands are going to disappear. What are you going to do with these people? Where are you going to put all of these millions of people in the islands of Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean, Pacific Ocean? Where are you going to put them? This is global warming going on, but Congo is that nation in the heart of Africa with more waters, with more rivers, with better clean water through its lakes. The river of Congo can push water into Sahara Desert in the north of Africa. That Sahara Desert can become today a place where we can take people out of all of these islands that would disappear because of global warming and find them a house in the African territory that is not habitated today, which is not occupied because of the heat of Sahara Desert. Think about it. Congo has the answer that the world has been looking for.
Because you have the population that's still diving into misery and into poverty, but these leaders are good friends of American, politicians or European politicians. We just have to stop that game and then think of people, think of the population. So as a young African-born, and now Americanized or naturalized American, it hurts me when I look back. What I'm doing here, I could have done it to Africa, So I could have contributed to my home country and then develop the country. It's that simple. Africans should not look after Chinese. It just doesn't make any sense. I think that Africans have to define their own destiny, transform the African landscape and the African politics, as well as develop African nations. Out of 54 countries in Africa, none of them is developed. But when you look at African continent in terms of natural resources, the African continent has everything needed. Every type of mineral is found in Africa. And we're not even talking into rivers. We're not even talking into waterfalls. Congo has the biggest, dam of Inga in the world. So this could have provided, the hydroelectric power could have provided electricity to villages, to every house across the African continent, including even Europe. Just think about it. So any president who would have stayed 2 or 3 terms and never touched this area, never even thought about it, that means that they were not qualified to begin with. They shouldn't even be, head of the state. They shouldn't even be the president to begin with. But let's just set that aside. The African continent has no excuse to remain poor. Every country of Africa has got to look into their natural resources. I'm not talking about the population, but I'm talking about leaders. Because it looks to me that African presidents are more of a mafia, are more of a group of gangsters, are more as gang leaders, or some type of mafia club that only looked after their own interest, after their family's, interest, or the friend interest. But whenever you become a president, you are called to serve. A president is a servant, and as a servant, you are just there to provide service to the population. In other words, I would say that the sovereignty of the population, of the people, must come first. You need to submit yourself to the population, but it can't be the other way around. There's no need of using, manipulation, mind control, fear, corruption, robbery, things of that nature. You're not worthy to be a leader. So I would encourage my African countrymen to keep the hope, to keep pushing through, go back home for those who can, and then lead by example. Thank you.